大家好，我個名係梁家偉，我今日想同你講關於語言歧視。I'm just kidding. I heard some sighs of relief. Were you expecting me to continue in Cantonese? Now that I've switched to English, were you expecting an accent? If you did, you are not the only one. I'm not sure if you've thought about this before, but this kind of stereotyping is a form of discrimination. Throughout my family's time here in the US, we have faced discrimination due to our race, ethnicity, culture, and the use of our language. To give you a bit more background on my family, I would like to introduce you to the two most intelligent people I know. The two people beside me in this photo are my parents. They're geniuses. They're ridiculously smart. They taught themselves how to read and write traditional Chinese, how to speak Mandarin, how to play multiple instruments, and have thrived since coming to the US. The only questionable thing I like to joke about them doing is that they named my siblings and I Carmen, Karen, and Ricky. That's not even the worst part. The R sound that exists in English does not exist in Cantonese. So instead, they have to accommodate for it with a W sound, which makes us Kaman, K1, and Wiki. My poor brother. Now, my parents, they know English, they're just not fluent. And they can speak English, just not the way a native English speaker would, like I am right now. Let me give you an example. Say, I have a guest over at my house for dinner. Out of courtesy, it's obvious I would ask something like, are you full, or have you had enough to eat? My parents in this situation would ask, you eat full yet? Which may not follow conventional English grammatical structure, but it is still understandable. This sentence shows incredible linguistic abilities. In the sentence, my parents are using English vocabulary words paired with Cantonese sentence structure. You eat full yet is directly translated from the Cantonese equivalent of have you had enough to eat, which is "你食飽未?" This proves to us that my parents are very knowledgeable in both Cantonese and English. Yet, they're still seen as unintelligent. Their English is still labeled as broken. And we still hear things like, speak American, you're in America now, so speak like it. This is an example of discrimination that immigrant families experience in our communities and in our country. So let's explore this idea of speaking American. True or false? The United States has an official language. Follow up, true or false? The official language of the United States is English. Okay, you guys were right. That's false. I had a whole thing about like, believe it or not, it's false. So the United States does not have an official language. So why are there so many people out there who think that there is? And why are people like my parents being told to speak American when American isn't even a language in and of itself, if you've ever taken any language classes? And I have another question for you guys. Give me a show of hands. How many of you have taken a foreign language in school before? Wow, almost everyone. How many of you would say it was pretty challenging? All of you. And now, the hard question. How many of you, with their hands up just now, would be comfortable moving to a country that speaks primarily that foreign language with the amount that you know? I lost like 90% of hands. I took French and I'm not moving to France ever. This is what immigrant people experience when they move to the US and start learning English. The only difference is that native English speakers learning a foreign language don't receive the same social shame that an immigrant would when they learn English as a second or even third language. Instead, a native English speaker learning any foreign language receives praise. Why is that? This is a double standard that we need to do something about. The United States was meant to be a melting pot. Yet look at the people we have put on a pedestal for the sake of silencing others. It is shocking the kind of reactions and responses I get when people find out I'm bilingual and that English is my second language. Usually, my English proficiency is celebrated. Woo, Cameron speaks English. But my native tongue is swept under the rug. I get compliments like, "Your English is so good," and "You don't even have an accent," if those are compliments at all. Here's my question though. Why is it so important for me to speak perfect English? Would it make a difference if I spoke with an accent? What if I spoke it the way my parents do? Does my proficiency in one language really define my intelligence? What about the fact that I can speak two? You know, it actually takes an intelligent person to learn and master more than one language. Toot toot. The benefits of being multilingual are very overwhelming. Your cognitive flexibility, your attention span, your multitasking abilities, and your problem-solving skills are all enhanced by simply being multilingual. And you can think about it this way. When you're jogging, doing yoga, weightlifting, you are making your physical body healthier. You can think of being multilingual as giving your brain an intense workout 24/7, which would make it healthier too, which leads to delayed onset of Alzheimer's and decreased dementia. And that's fantastic news for me. Our country has greatly undervalued multilingualism and the benefits that come with it because we're afraid of the unfamiliar. Just the other day, as I was at work, closing down the shop, counting, I lose count very often, so I've learned this new trick to count in Cantonese in my head, in case anyone speaks English to me. And speak of the devil, my coworker comes over and starts telling me a story in English. I didn't lose count because I was counting in Cantonese in my head, and I processed everything she said to me in English. That is an incredible feat that a multilingual brain can do. In the arts, we have music, movement, dance, visual arts like sculptures and paintings, all of which are ways for us to express ourselves through art. If we can learn to value the different expressions through art, I know that we can come to embrace diversity in the different expressions in all languages and dialects. You're here today because you want to better the world and your communities through positive impact. So I am calling all of you to step up. No more excuses. As a country, we have a shared communicative burden. It is our responsibility to communicate with each other and try to understand the messages that are being conveyed. We cannot simply expect one group to assimilate as the rest of us sit idly by. So the next time that you hear a person say something in a way that you don't understand, lean in, listen closely, try to understand, because what we say is far more important than how we say it. Thank you.